Hey everyone, Mr. Happy here, and welcome back to another part in my Final Fantasy XIV Let's Play series. It's been a while since I recorded the last part, but fortunately with Final Fantasy XIV, something that I don't really get to make use of because I'm always caught up with everything nowadays is the main scenario, follower thing. The thing that tells you the current main scenario quest, the tracker, there you go, that they added. So I logged in to record this, and I just recorded the Final Fantasy XI Let's Play parts, and I kind of had to remember exactly what I had done. It only took me a minute or two to kind of remember where I was. But one thing that's really nice, I haven't played in a week. I may not 100% remember what I did, but thanks to the main scenario quest thing, I can just click that and go. I also do have my next class quest available. So we left off, I was working my way into things like guild hests and whatnot, if I recall. Did I actually do any guild hests? I did not. I think I unlocked it and then I wrapped up that part. And I don't remember why. I could have very easily have done that guild hest right from the get-go. I think I made mention that doing it is moderately okay. I think I may have just held off on doing it. Oh, I was holding off on doing it because I didn't have the challenge log yet. Right. Now it's all coming back to me. All right. Well, that being said, I think it would make sense if I went back to New Caledonia and got my level 15 class quest and then made my way off to continue the MSQ. Yeah, it's I'm trying to fight a lot of the ways that I would have thought about things. However many years ago, the last time I played a new character. Let me rephrase. The last time I played a new character since the majority of changes were made. I think the last time I actually played a brand new character was for the A Realm Reborn rework. They announced they were reworking A Realm Reborn, so I played through it without what was it? I think it was without just skipping any cutscenes and like without doing, like I had a whole bunch of restrictions on to gauge how long it would take before the rework and then after the rework. And I think the last time I actually played was after the rework. Like right after the A Realm Reborn rework. I played, I think I did some Heaven's Ward, and obviously I played the individual dungeons since then. But I think that's really the majority of it if I had to nail it down. And so a lot of this other stuff I haven't done as an actual new character. So again, my convention, somebody actually very specifically was glad that I said I wanted to get the new player experience like from scratch kind of, because they were like, yeah, that's just not a good idea. I actually had quite a few people come to me, especially on stream, and tell me that was something that they actually really appreciated that I was doing. And yeah, I mean, it's at the end of the day, I know how to play Final Fantasy XIV, right? So it's only going to really mean so much, but it's not going to mean nothing, I suppose. Yeah, we're just going to walk past these real quick. Is there any hunting log that I don't have done in this zone while I'm here? I mean, there definitely is, but is there any I can easily do? Yeah, I mean, pretty much all of them, I guess. I'm gonna get these done. Oh, no. Gotta remember what my actual keybinds are briefly. And this level 15 class quest will also give me a level 15 weapon. But I do have all of the brand new stuff, which is gonna help a ton. See, I'm willing to bet that it's not even that time effective for new players to be doing hunting logs anymore. In fact, it actually really, after the lowest levels, I don't think it's been effective for some time. I think even the last time I played, I stopped doing it probably after the first 15 to 20 levels. But I don't know, like, this is one of those things that's hard for me to fight. It's funny because I so easily ignore side quests, right? Whereas a lot of people feel like they really want to do or have to do, need to do all the side quests. I don't. I have a really easy time just being like, oh, I can't really justify doing that. But for some reason, when I'm out in the middle of the world and I see hunting log targets pop up, I feel like, okay, I should stop and do that. I don't know what the like mental difference is for me. Maybe the convenience of just seeing an enemy and being like, okay, let me just kill 3 of these real quick. is better than let me accept all these quests and then return to the quest giver, etc. Maybe I'm subconsciously like weighing the amount of effort that it's actually going to take, and that's having some impact on me. I don't know. I will say this though. One really major benefit that I think still holds true, and I'm fairly certain that this still holds true on servers without experience boosts, without the new player bonus, which obviously we went with one where I don't have that boosted EXP, is getting caught up in level with the main scenario. So back in the old days, it was highly probable that you were going to fall behind the level of the main scenario quests. The game was designed that you had these supplementary quests, or you could spam dungeons or whatever anytime you fell behind, or if you weren't logging in very often, then you had roulettes. Although funnily enough, roulettes didn't come out till patch 2.1. So when 2.0 days, we didn't even have those. But that was the idea, is you could do something supplementary to get caught up with the MSQ. It wasn't usually that much effort, but if you just did the quests in the area, that was also more than sufficient. But over years, they've just added so much experience. There's so many methods of getting experience now that there just really hasn't been a thing in quite some time. That being said, I do remember when I went through a Realm Reborn's rework, I did still get cut off on experience points very briefly. That was with me playing like 2 or 3 days straight, no rested experience, no like using roulettes in any capacity. So it was still me kind of using the bare minimum tools. And I remember only barely, I think it was very specifically, there's a jump in level at level 46 to a level 49 main scenario quest. And there's nothing between those 3 levels. So I think that was the only place it happened, was at that level range. Before then, definitely not close. And even back in the day, you really only felt it at those higher levels still. Let me grab this before I do the quest. So I think that's still going to be the case, but this kind of gives you that little bit of an extra boost without you having to do extra dungeons or anything extra at all, really. So the hunting log is a nice, easy way to get ahead at the early levels. And that compounds a little bit to the higher levels. Enough, I feel like it compounds to the higher levels. And so I probably won't have that issue. But also, if you don't play frequently, you have rested XP. Like, having rested XP the entire way you level through, if you're someone who plays at a casual pace, is so nice in terms of just, like, getting ahead of everything. And so I will have, like, full rested XP the whole time I do this. I will say this, though. If you're someone who likes to experiment around, try out new jobs, and you're constantly swapping to something that's level 1, or like Rogue, you unlock it, you know, it's level 10 when you unlock it, your rested XP completely disintegrates if you're level 1. Because it's relative to the amount of EXP you need to level on whatever job you're on. Like, not when you earn it, but like whenever you're on. It just doesn't care how much EXP you need. It's like just the bar's length value. So you burn through rested XP in just a few levels at level 1. Like, you'll be out of rested XP by like level 6, 7, something like that, depending on how you actually gain your experience. And because of that, if you're someone who likes to experiment around, expect it to disappear. I would actually recommend, it's hard to do, but if you can just like run a dungeon on like the main job, like do like a leveling roulette or something on the main job, or do something close to your level on the primary job that you want to level first, or that you were trying first, just to use some of the rested XP in a means that is more level efficient. I would recommend doing that before you like swap to a job for a day. That's like a tiny thing. It's honestly, it's super irrelevant. I wouldn't say you need to do that, but just my sensibilities say that at the very least, I should suggest something along those lines. You know what I mean? All right, so let's head up here and get this done. Yeah, I think I recall doing only mandatory quests after a Realm Reborn's rework. I think without cutscenes was like 28 hours, and with cutscenes was like 42. And prior to the changes, I think it was like 64 hours and 48 for the same periods of time. I have a video on it, so it's not like this. This is all documented. I just don't remember it off the top of my head because it's been years since I recorded that video. Ah, yes, this is the one where I actually have to, like, be a healer, kind of. Let's go down here. Ow, my ankles, they're broken. I know that there's these gnats over here. Yeah, these I always remember as being part of the hunting log. I've been through this very specifically on Conjurer a lot. And so I actually recognize more things about doing this on Conjurer than like almost any other class. Like I know like off the top of my head what a lot of the targets end up being. I think there's some goblins over on the side, some level 18 goblins over there. There's the fairy fungar that I need. Yeah, because these things you can kill at a really low level because they do that ranged attack. That cast attack, and they do it very frequently. So they don't really do a whole lot of damage. They do auto attack like pretty quickly after it ends, but I mean, you can see. And I think killing these will actually get me a level too. I'm also a healer, so not like anything can really kill me at this level unless it's like 1 or 2 tapping me. Back in the A Realm Reborn days, we also had a lot of ways to go about moving around enemies to completely avoid damage, especially anything that has a cast bar. I think they've changed even the A Realm Reborn mobs at this point. But elementals, for example, if you constantly run through them to the other side, you can interrupt their casting. That was a really good way of dealing with any sort of element. If you were just like killing elementals that were maybe a little too high of a level for you, or you just really liked dodging the damage because you were bored otherwise. It's a nice little way to entertain yourself at the very least. Yeah, that was like 5,500 EXP. Yeah, honestly, the hunting log EXP still pretty decent for just killing a few mobs out in the world. And if you are on, if it's like your second or third job and you've got like HQ weapons just kind of tucked away. Oh, I didn't actually finish killing all the boring weevils, I guess. I thought I did. You probably have like gear that's somewhat decent. Like, I'm using a level 10 weapon right now. My quest is going to give me a level 15 one. If I did this with a level 15 weapon, I think it's fair to say it would be going a lot faster. But we're not going to go get the level 15 weapon and then come back to kill the mobs that we're standing in front of right now that are not very hard to begin with. Come on now. However, this does, of course, remind people. I mean, okay, this isn't even a new Final Fantasy XIV thing. It's been this way for some time, but obviously just spamming stone after hitting arrow once is never going to be the most thrilling thing. But it is very easy and very simple to do. And it's something that you should be expected to do at the bare minimum. That's going to be a big thing to see, because like when I went through on Healer Happy years ago, I can recall a handful of experiences where people complain that I was DPSing on healer. And I still hear stories of that happening to people nowadays, which is shocking. We are so far beyond a point in time in Final Fantasy XIV where anyone should have any complaints, unless they're brand new and they don't expect it, right? Like if they know anything about Final Fantasy XIV, nobody would be saying that. If you're new, totally understand if you haven't been introduced to that convention here and that it can be really confusing. But it is a lot of just getting those. But I will say this, when you play with sprouts, if you get a full party of sprouts with a tank who's a sprout, even in these lower level dungeons, which are really easy, you can end up with people who just take more damage. They make poorer decisions. And if you are looking to be I hate that it has to be this way, but if you're looking to feel more engaged with healer, playing with less experienced people is some of the best gameplay/gameplay practice that you can possibly receive in this game. Because the people who are like longtime players like me, who are less likely to make constantly noticeable mistakes, you're probably not going to have to put as much effort into us, or if you are not experienced yourself as a healer, it can be actually kind of nerve-wracking. A lot of people put that like pressure on themselves automatically when they see like really experienced players making long-time player decisions that they may not be familiar with, or it may require everyone to kind of be on that similar-ish playing field, that similar-ish experience level. And I can understand the problems with that. I do try to, even as an experienced player, I still make the conscious effort to try to cater to newer players. I watch how they play, and that determines how I play. And I'm going to say this. I know that it's common to want to go fast, but seriously, if you could just pay a little bit of attention to the people around you, I think it's a better gameplay experience as a whole. I don't care if the dungeon is going slower if I'm making somebody else's gameplay experience better, more comfortable. Could I throw them in the deep end and do things that really negatively impact their vision of me, but are more accurate to the way the game will be played later? Sure. But not everyone learns best by being thrown in the deep end. So I'm always a bit conflicted when it comes to that approach in Final Fantasy XIV specifically. So I'm a little torn on that one. But yeah, it's a lot of the times it's tough. It's tough to know like when you can speak up about those things. I always encourage new players to speak up about not being comfortable with, that kind of rapid pace decision making, that experience that they may not have. But I know a ton of people are still very afraid to really engage with those systems that way. So, my open encouragement is if you are new and you are not comfortable, say something. If people are jerks about it, like, just try to get through it. And if you can't, I mean, you can report people for being jerks. And I don't, as much as I don't like to say, you don't want to be trigger finger, you don't want to have a trigger finger for that. You kind of want to at least absorb some of what you're being told and like how it applies to the way the game is actively played by longtime players, especially if you plan on getting into some later game stuff. But there's a difference between learning and dealing with terrible people. And I find I very, very rarely have to deal with terrible people in Final Fantasy XIV. The shout chats I see are infinitely worse than anecdotally, any active experience I have with actual players, personally speaking. But everyone has different experiences. Everyone has different anecdotes. So, you can't take that as an absolute, nor would I encourage you to. Dude, if I actually had gear for this level, if this was like the second or third class I was leveling, I would have not healed them a single time. I've done this quest before where I literally never heal them. And I just blast the whole way through. That is something you can't really do when you're in leveling gear and not like dungeon gear. But it is really fun when you can do it. If you've got like hand-me-down gear from other classes and stuff. Or if you're just so far ahead that your gear is like substantially a higher level. Yeah, it works really well for all that. I feel like I was going to make about 3 or 4 different points during all of that. And I think I made one of them. In all honesty, I remember like wanting to make a handful of points and then jumping ahead because I was, hey, leave me alone. Black bats are East Shroud. They are up this way, I believe. Oh no, the Bramble Patch is up north. Oh, right. Man, you know what's one thing that goes to show that they don't really like go back and handle old stuff? The hunting log giving you the name of the area, more than sufficient. You see the Bramble Patch here, you see the Bramble Patch here. Great, for the most part, that's sufficient. But compared to being able to like click on the monster and see where they are on the map, which we do have as a system for more current things, it's pretty funny to just see that they've never even considered it. They just left it in and said, you know what, it's fine as is. And that's interesting because as much as it's an old system, if you're going to go back and address the way the game is for new players, it's not really appropriate to just be like, that's old content, I'm not going to care. you kind of have to, by definition, to stay consistent. You have to care in some capacity. So, while I've known that they never really did those updates to that thing, as a player, it's a curious design decision for me to not decide to make it easier for players to identify. Because here's the thing. Yes, someone who's played a lot of RPGs or MMOs kind of knows to like read the map and see where things are. Totally get it. That's me. You know, I never had any issue with it other than like just trying to remember where things were in the first place. Like, oh, where is the bramble? Like, where to even look on the minimap itself. But you want people to be able to see the distinction between the name of a region and what they're being asked to do. I think that it's a really simple way that if they did update it, it would introduce the idea of reading map names. But they just kind of trust or don't care enough that the player will do that. All right, and then I think I just need, for East Shroud, I need the goblins. And the goblins might even... the goblins shouldn't give me a level. The goblins are level 12. I mistook the poachers for the goblins, and the goblins are over here. It's just... Oh, well, that one turned around. The gnats have eyes, so they're side aggro. And they're pretty close to my level. They're only 2 levels under me, so they do aggro from pretty far away. Let's head right over here. And then we can go turn in Trial by Water and get our level 15 stuff. Then we can continue MSQ. We will definitely not get to a dungeon today, but we should be able to get to the other city-states, I believe, since we're not watching cutscenes here. It's a very distinct difference, because in the Final Fantasy XI Let's Play that I'm running simultaneously with this one, I can't skip cutscenes. I could just skip through the dialogue, but I'm choosing not to. Whereas here, I am actually choosing to do that. I don't know. It just... Maybe it's just... I don't really have a particular reason other than the fact that I've just done the MSQ a million times, but I have also done the Final Fantasy XI one quite a few times. So I don't know that that logic really holds up the same. Oh well. It's my decision. I get to make it. It's easier for me. Well, no, you know what it is? This isn't about playing through the game for the story. Final Fantasy XI is about giving players a way to experience it when they may never play it. That was kind of the initial goal with that one. This is not that goal. This is, I'm seeing what a new player experience is like, and the story has nothing to do with that. That's really the logic behind it. See, it's been so long, I couldn't even remember why I started doing this series. I remembered a part of it, but, like, I couldn't remember the whole thing. To, like, keep my reasoning for a decision together. And we'll see how many times I forget that throughout the course of me doing this little dance with Final Fantasy 11 and 14. I always wonder if I should, like... A part of me really wants even more, like, consistent content on my channel. So there's, like, other things, like, playing through... Like, I've played a lot of other MMOs. People assume I don't have much experience with other MMOs. I mean, I played Guild Wars 2 for months when it came out. I revisited it for Heart of Thorns. I played World of Warcraft through, you know, Burning Crusade, Wrath, into early Cataclysm before I really stopped. I've played a fair number of other MMOs as well for months, years. Blade and Soul. I tried to get it a while, so that did not last very long. And I do like to hop in and out of the other ones, but in reality... You know what? I don't know why I chose that reward, by the way. I should not have chosen that reward. I should have chosen a gear reward, but it'll be... Oh, no, actually. No, it wouldn't have made sense to take the gear reward because I've got the brand new stuff. Right. I take that back. That made total sense. See? Forgetting all my logics. Let's see. This is free, right? Yep. But I kind of want another, like, weekly Let's Play-ish series for other MMOs, games. Like, I want to play Neverwinter, man. I always say I want to play Neverwinter, and I never get around to it. I was also playing that, what's that new RuneScape-ish MMO? Maybe the guy who made RuneScape, what was it called? I'm opening my Steam. I'm checking right now. Because it should be in there. Here, I'm gonna auto-run south. I'm going to look in Steam real quick. Where is it? Can I check by... Not Realm of the Mad God, though. I haven't played Realm of the Mad God. Ooh, PSO2. That makes me sad. Seeing New World on this list also. Oh, I have Neverwinter Nights right there. Hold on. We're not doing that, Fate. What was the name of that game? Last Epoch. I actually wanted to check out the latest update to that. No. Oh, I can't remember what it's called. It's killing me to not remember. Oh, there it is. Brighter Shores. That's the one. Got it. Yeah, Brighter Shores I was messing around with for like a week. And I was really quite enjoying the grind. I just couldn't. It wasn't like doing super well viewership-wise, so I couldn't really justify doing it long run. But honestly, just doing a bit of that. I don't know. I really like the idea of constantly sharing MMO experiences with people. Obviously, Josh Stripe Hayes, perfect example of something I personally like doing. I don't really watch much in the way of YouTube content nowadays. Not for years now, but that's like a solid example. Not quite the same way. I really like the idea of kind of sharing the raw experience with it. Unless otherwise, like, I have another good reason to do it. But that was something else I'd like to do. I really want a lot more consistent weekly content that I can just fill space with between videos that I either make spontaneously that can take their spots, or videos that we know are coming because of like 14 patch cycles, right? Like, obviously the week of Occult Crescent, there's a good chance that I don't make a whole lot of videos that week. The week of any sort of major patch, for example, like a Let's Play, like this Let's Play won't show up on weeks like that. And those other videos might not either. I mean, it really depends, because I don't want to release 2-3 videos in a day. It's just a lot, right? Unless I have a really good reason to. Like, it's like a raid tier that just came out and I want to share, like, oh, I just cleared this fight, that fight. I want to talk about the fights, blah, blah, blah. You know, I want to ramble on as I do. But I want more consistent stuff between then. And I like having video series that I have some sort of formulaic idea of how I'm going to approach each one. One series that a lot of people have asked me to bring back that I probably won't, I just don't see it coming back, is the Bestiary series. It's not that I couldn't. There's a lot of things I never did with the Bestiary series, but I don't know. I guess the longer I went on, the less I was able to justify what was effectively reading a Wikipedia page and putting those Wikipedia images on screen in a video format. I mean, don't get me wrong. It's not like a lot of people do things like that, where there's effectively like very public information that we regurgitate. I mean, half my videos are me reading Lodestone posts. You know what I mean? But I don't know. It was harder and harder for me to justify making that as a series. I almost do want to revisit it, though, and do it weekly as well. Because there's the way I did a lot of those old videos, I could honestly reformat them to be more anecdotal to my experience. And I think that's a big thing with me as a content creator, too. Like, even my guides, a lot of my guides were often, especially in the early days, or even now, criticized because the PF is doing something and I'm not saying that in my guide. It's because I very much like to share something that is personal to my experience to help other people, versus creating a resource that is absolute or presents options that are absolute. I really like learning from others' hands-on experience, and I don't find traditional guides useful, personally. I find those smaller details that get you to the solution to be really valuable. And if I could give some advice while I'm making this series, because like obviously we're running quest to quest right now, so I get to kind of impart some of this. If you're watching this and you're newer to Final Fantasy XIV, I beg that you don't fall into a trap, which is doing exactly what everyone tells you to do and not learning the fundamentals of how the game works. I'm going to be attempting to kind of provide information on those types of things when they are applicable, but a lot of that stuff comes later on. Early on, Final Fantasy XIV, very on rails, very easy to kind of make your own experience. You know, you don't have to pick one job, follow through, get to max level, do exactly that. There are like, you know, advices that if you were to say, hey, in this situation, should I do this or this? And like, there's a logical reason behind an answer for it. But because the early game is so the actual like going through the story before endgame is such a personal experience. Choosing to go through it in a way that is most interesting to you is more important than doing what is quote unquote right, I suppose. Every bit of advice I give you throughout this series and every bit of advice that I learn, because I have to relearn it because it's not exactly as I remember it. It's been so long since I've done a lot of the early game stuff, is not absolute. And I want that. I much prefer presenting options. Now, sometimes that doesn't work out. Sometimes there are things you should 100% do it a certain way. Every other way is too negative of an impact on the rest of your gaming experience. That's true in some instances in 14, very few, because there's not like really permanent decisions, you know, but I don't want you treating anything like that really in Final Fantasy 14. Even if you hear me say like, oh, absolutely do this. Like if you watch one of my other content, say, oh, there's just no other reason. There's no reason. Sure. Great. But still make it your own experience, especially while you're going through the story. If you prefer running without your chocobo, if you prefer, you know, doing every side quest along the way and it's not over encumbering for you to do that, great. Go right ahead. If you like stopping and doing all the fates, even though you see me skip, go right ahead. I really don't want anyone ever feeling like, oh, well, this guy said do that or don't do that, so I'll just do that or not do that. That's kind of like the antithesis of being, well, it's the antithesis of MMOs, but it's kind of the antithesis of being a gamer to begin with. The whole point is like playing a video game is a lot about getting through something and experiencing something for yourself. And even if there is a right or wrong way, that part where you're doing it yourself, where you're kind of getting the experience and figuring it all out, that's like super valuable to me. So I like to impart that same idea onto other people. Listen, take my advice, don't take my advice throughout the series, whatever you got to do. But that's how I feel about the general approach to advice, is that it's not absolute. All right, we got to save them over here. Oh, level sync. I guess I'm so high of a level, it's got to sync me down. Yeah, we'll have this quest, and then I think the next quest is the one before the emissary, because this isn't the main quest. He's tougher than he looks. I don't know. I look pretty tough. You're winning, Kupo. You're damn right I am. He's up to something extra nasty. That hits you, by the way. That hits pretty hard. They really want you to kill that hedge knight first. As you can see, I made no effort to do that. Because if Kupo friend here dies, then it's like over. But that guy's attacking me, and, you know, took care of him first. They really want you to do it in the other order, though. They want you to have the dude attacking you, but you help the Moogle, and then you finish the guy that's attacking you. I just don't operate under that. I'm not going to do it. We could actually just teleport back there. Having a free teleport in a spot, it's kind of hard to know when you should move your free teleport, because you can very randomly end up back in some location sometimes. Bent Branch, for example, is a good teleport to have for later. Even though we can actually use the Aetheryte itself in New Gridania to go to the gates outside of the town, since we got all the Ethernet, sometimes it's nice to have like a free teleport left behind in some location. But generally you want to move it to whatever location you are currently questing in, and assume that you'll be there for a period of time. It makes going from a quest objective back really fast. And I personally like to leave the free teleport back in a town. Whatever town, again, seems most relevant to the story that I'm currently doing. So I have 3 minutes on that, for example. It's not the end of the world to do a teleport. It's 158 gil. But you're going to find that I don't think that it's worth teleporting back to New Gridania for 100. You will do. I promise you, for the most part, you will probably do it. You do get these things. I forget what all of the ways to get them, but I mentioned it in the first video, these Aetheryte tickets. These can be gotten in a lot of ways. So much so that I haven't actually paid for a teleport on my main character in about 7 or 8 years. I think it's been longer than that, actually. But these first 50 that I got, I think these are for subscribing for 30 days or with the A Realm Reborn collectors. If you go back and watch the first video, it'll say in the mail that I opened them from how I got them. I just don't remember. And you can actually set a threshold for these. If you're someone who's going to be teleporting constantly, it's not a bad idea to set the threshold. In order to do that, and this is a newer feature, you have these teleport settings in the top right. And Aetheryte ticket usage, always confirm before use. So it'll ask you, hey, do you want to use it or do you not want to use it? And then you can actually set, if you set it to confirm for all costs above the guild allowance or always used for costs above guild allowance. And then let's say you set this to 200. This will make it so that if the cost is under this, it doesn't use your tickets. If the cost is over this, it'll use your tickets. Eventually, teleport costs get to be about 1,000 gil a piece if you're going really far. So if you have the 50 teleport tickets, I know it seems stingy to be like, just whatever, you'll get more. I would say hold on to them and just teleport with your own gil, or do what I'm doing and walk. Make clever use of returning, teleporting, the city gates, being able to Ethernet out of them. Focus on doing that. Because while it's not a lot of gil per teleport, when you get to endgame, you teleport nonstop. Like, you don't walk anywhere. You teleport everywhere. So I could probably burn 30, 40,000 gil a day easy if I just teleported every single time I was supposed to. And when we get to the content that I can do that actually gives me more free teleports, I will bring that up. It's very far in the future, and it's because it's so far away that I'm trying to encourage you to not use them early. I just think it's a waste to use them early because of how valuable teleporting is later. But if you're diligent, you can get thousands. I literally am sitting on like 2,700, and honestly, that's not even that many. And there's a lot of players who don't even know that the teleport tickets, those or any other, can even be obtained in a way other than just these 50 and like whatever bonuses they get from various like events and whatnot that we have as like seasonal events in the game. And they spend thousands and thousands on gil, and they have to scrape by, and I want to stop that from happening to you now instead of waiting for you to have to do it later. So you're going to see me trying to skip using those as much as possible, unless I think, well, skip using teleports as a whole as much as possible. I'll be honest also. The Chocobo Keep, which is basically this game's equivalent of flight paths, where you talk to an NPC and you pay a small gil fee to rent a Chocobo that automatically runs from just point A to point B. I haven't used them yet, but I am of the opinion they're incredibly undervalued for new players. I never see anyone talking about them. There's a multitude of reasons for that. Number one, it's just kind of nice to step away from the game. Like, it's a great time for you to be like, oh, let me get on my Choco Keep, go to the spot, and then step away from the game and like go use the restroom or go get something to drink or go get a snack, or I got a phone call I got to take, like whatever. It's a very, I don't know why I didn't take the Ethernet back there. I was too focused. It's a very nice way to do that. And it's a little bit faster in some instances for talent. And I'll be honest, in some instances, I don't think it's faster, even though you're technically on a mount. I think the pathing is largely to blame for that. But even still, I would highly advise grabbing the Choco Keep exclamations. I may not do it that much here, but I definitely recommend it. Do as I say, not as I do. There's other instances where I think they're even more useful, but they really do just act as a means of saving gil most of the time. Even if it's just a few gil, and just being able to kind of take a short break while you're playing without having to like say, I'll do that when I get back. Now we're going to do this quest right here. We did hit level 20. So we do have, Do I get a trade at level 20? We get Maim and Men, so we will hit a little bit harder. Not very much, but we will hit a little bit harder. And we can go out to Bent Branch and do that. We want to do this now. The sooner we have the level 20 weapon, the easier life will be. The next story mission is one where I'm going to have to fight a ton of enemies. Having a level 20 weapon before then is nice. You don't have to. Like, most people probably be 18 or 19 if they're not on boosted servers. It doesn't matter. The next mission's easy, especially as a healer. The next mission is much, much easier if you're on a healer. But it actually is not hard. Well, you know, it's funny I say that because my memory of that quest is quite literally, looking at this, tainted. The level 15 story quest, Back in a Realm Reborn, was actually a high difficulty gated quest because in the second half of it, you get poisoned by the boss and it hits insanely hard. Now, in the quest before that, you get 5 antidotes. And with those 5 antidotes, you're supposed to use them on that follow-up quest in order to kill the boss. And the game never really tells you that. So a lot of people would just get killed by that boss. Also, there's 2 bosses technically, and if you hit the other one before you're done with the first one, then it comes after you. And that is incredibly dangerous. When both of them are hitting on you plus the poison, it's not good. But that's not really the case anymore. I'm hard-pressed to imagine you would ever die to that quest nowadays, but I'm sure it's possible, you know. I'm not going to say it's impossible that players still die to this quest. Not this quest, but the actual next main scenario quest, the Gate to Guard a Guardian. Or the equivalent. There's very similar missions in all 3 city-states. Same bosses, same general idea. I'm not saying nobody dies of those now, but there was a high probability of you dying to it as a new player back in the day. Unless you were someone who is very familiar with MMOs already. And I'd say, honestly, even if you might have wanted to have been at least familiar with Final Fantasy XIV already, too. We'll probably do that mission. And then I don't even know what I'm going to call this video. See, the thing is, I'm now recording these and I have no idea what I'm even going to call half the videos. One of the main reasons I mentioned this before. One of the main reasons I stopped the first Let's Play was filling this, like coming up with a topic for the quest, right? I always felt like there had to be some sort of game experience imparted upon to the viewer. And this is one of those videos where it's kind of, what am I imparting? Like, yes, we had those long discussions, but I'm not going to put that in the title, right? So I actually have to name part 2, which isn't out yet. As of the recording this, the second part is not out. This third part will come out, and then the following week, I'm probably not releasing one because that's the week Occult Crescent comes out, which is an endgame content for any newer players. So I'll probably be releasing all Occult Crescent content that week. I don't even know what I'm calling the second part. The first part's called A New Character. You know what I might want to do? I might want to actually reference back to the original Let's Play and see kind of what I was going with for some of the early parts there. Just because maybe I probably shouldn't be trying to figure out why I'm recording a part, in all honesty. But I'll figure it out. I'll get it. I'll get it good. It'll be nice having all these consistent releases, all the same. What other releases am I working on as well? I'm working on the... Oh, dude, I got to put a ton of work into the Platinum Series. I want to go back and forth between Platinum Series and Raid Retrospectives for a couple months on, like, Thursdays. I have a Platinum Series video that's almost done. I need to finish editing it. And then I got to record a Raid Retro. And then I got to get working on my Platinum videos. Because my Final Fantasy Platinums... We'll eventually get to Final Fantasy XIV. Which is actually not going to be even that hard of one. But I really want to get those videos out because I'm done with all of the mainline Final Fantasy Platinums at this point. And so I would like to get all the mainline ones out. And then I can really start working on the secondary games and whatnot. Which I'm also very much looking forward to. I've got a lot of videos that I really want to work on, and I've been having a hard time making the time to work on them. Which, you know, it sucks and it doesn't suck. Because I've just been busy, and I'd rather be busy and that be the reason than just be uninspired or unmotivated, which was the case for quite some time. And that's tough. It's tough when you make a ton of videos all the time. You like making videos, but you're not motivated to do them. It's a big problem. It's not, and keep in mind, for me, it's not even burnout. It's straight up like the other things on my mind occupy too much mental space for me to overcome and produce content while dealing with them simultaneously. It does genuinely come down to that for me, which is, you know, depressing. For lack of a better term, that's depressing because I don't want that. I really like making videos for everyone. I really like helping players. And when I can't motivate myself to do that, it sucks. But my motivation has definitely been coming back a lot more as of late. Obviously, I'm in a very good and healthy relationship right now, and I would like it to stay that way. So that's very motivating, and I put a lot of time into that, so I don't have the time to put into video making as much right now, which is why I actually really like making these series also, because, again, they're consistent. Now, I am level 20. I don't think any of this is technically... I know this says it has higher defense. Oh, you know what, though? I don't think there's a headpiece for it. This makes sense. I think we get the headpiece. Because I don't think there's a... Yeah, there's no brand new headpiece. So it makes the most sense to grab that. Okay, perfect. And we get a new weapon as well. Let me make sure that it's not upgrading my gear with the wrong stuff. Okay, perfect. The shield falling off as planned because we have to equip the two-handed weapon now. I miss shields. Shields on casters is actually interesting. There's some content in the game that syncs your stats regardless of what you're wearing. So, like, what you're wearing is irrelevant. And so it actually becomes kind of useful to equip a shield. Because your stats don't matter at all. Like, you could just have the shield equipped and block occasionally. It's this really weird, kind of irrelevant meta around certain items, if that makes sense. All right, let's do this. So we're going to the Guardian tree. I think in my original Final Fantasy XIV Let's Play, we ran into a hunt at this exact point. And hunts are something that, again, it's actually something a lot of people do know about, but the rewards for it are not always abundantly clear. And it is one of the methods of getting a ton of Aetherite tickets, specifically a Realm Reborn, Heavensward, and Stormblood hunts. If you are somewhat diligent with those, you will never pay for a teleport for the rest of your life. But not at this level. At this level, it's too dangerous to do them unless we see somebody else fighting them, which you don't really see anyone fighting hunts, like a Realm Reborn hunts nowadays. If they do, they kill them in 1 or 2 hits and they move on with their life. The only thing you really need to bear in mind is if you see a random level 50... Even if you don't know the difference between B rank, A rank, the aggro symbols over the head. See this like passive symbol right here? That means it doesn't aggro versus the active symbols. It's generally advised that you just avoid them altogether. Because they will kill you, obviously, if you're at this level. But man, if you see someone else fighting them and you can even just tap it once to get a little bit of credit, doesn't hurt. It's not a bad idea. Yeah, this quest was a monster back in the day. Nowadays, what I like to do is kill all the really easy ones. And then they all gang up on the harder one. I like to get the NPC ones free before I even killing the ones that I'm on. Because the NPCs will just dogpile on the boss. As you can kind of see, it's already happening. I like how it said those were aggro to me, and then they totally weren't aggro to me. I think he summons... I think you can just kill him when he summons his ad here. I think he summons... Yeah, he void calls. And I think you can just kill him and the void call will go away. I actually think that's what you're supposed to do. But I think very specifically I can do this as conjurer. So you can just put it to sleep and then kill him. Hold fast. We almost have him. Dude, repose is always a great thing to have in your back pocket. These things are so weak nowadays that it really doesn't matter if you do that, but I always like showing off the little ways to use repose, because repose is just such a nice way to get through really tiny inconveniences. We're sleeping an enemy to do a quest turn in or to grab a quest item instead of actually stopping to fight them. Yeah, so this was the quest that people struggled with. Sometimes people would hit that masked mage over there. He would start attacking them and he would massacre them along with this lesser gargoyle. But you're going to see him do this like little bat kick. Maybe one more auto, he'll do it. That poison murdered people. It doesn't hit that hard nowadays. They adjusted it. Like, they actually adjusted it and made it easier. But yeah, if you didn't use your antidotes back then to get rid of that poison, yeah, it was a problem. Yeah, because you want to wait for them. Normally, they show up to help you kill the gargoyle. But yeah, you don't want to be getting hit by this masked mage. Because he actually does hit quite hard. If he starts hitting you, it's a problem. Fortunately, once they're here, they hit so much harder than you. That will never happen. Sorry, I had to step out of range of that Blizzard 2. The Blizzard 2 isn't really that bad, but why get hit by it? Don't worry, he's just trying to AoE. Your damage is so irrelevant here. Just smashing whatever button you have is really all you can do. See? Nice and simple. And this will get you to the point where you can do the emissary quest. Or the, yeah, that one. Obviously. Now, see, here's a case where I am very willing to... Oh, yeah, actually, I forgot. Because I changed my settings when I didn't mean to. Always confirm before use. Oh, wait, no, never mind. Do not use an Aetheryte ticket. This is one where my return is on cooldown. I'm not running all the way back. I'm willing to eat that very small cost. Throughout the story, you get a few million gil. In case you're wondering about how much gil you're going to get, it's not an insignificant amount. You're going to get like several million gil playing through the story. It's not a lot in the grand scheme of endgame, but it's not enough to be stingy about 150 gil occasionally. Even if I only have 3,800 about right now. All right, and we'll speak to Lewin. He will thank me for my services. We will be thanked by that, and then we get this Gridanian ring, which is not a very important ring, mind you. In fact, it's not very good for me at all because it has direct... I mean, one direct hit is not bad, but main stat... Important lesson in Final Fantasy. Main stat over substat every time. Like, direct hit. It's hilarious because healers actually can't get direct hit as a stat. So it's one of the few instances where a piece of equipment has the direct hit stat on it that a healer can actually natively wear. It's an anomaly in that sense. That being said, main stat wins out over substat almost every time. 1 intelligence and 1 mind for either thaumaturge or conjurer at this level, or arcanist as well. Definitely going to hold steady over that, specifically the mind. And then we just have this quick quest. I think after this quest, I can rest my voice a little bit. I don't know if you can hear it, but my voice is feeling a little strange. I've been kind of under the weather. I've still been recording the last couple of days, even though I've not been feeling the greatest. And it's been a little tough. But I manage. It's funny because I'm not often under the weather, but in the last couple of months, I've been under the weather a handful of times. I don't know if it's because I'm used to just like toughing out through it and I don't notice it, or I'm actually like not usually under the weather. But I've been noticing it. So I definitely don't want to overstrain myself. I'll probably still get some more work done before day's end, but all the same. I might just work on my Final Fantasy IX Platinum edit after this, because that video is almost done being edited. And then I can maybe work on the Raid Retro once I've rested my voice, and then the Final Fantasy X Platinum video. What should I call the Final Fantasy IX Platinum video? Probably call it the worst Platinum. One of the worst Final Fantasy IX Platinums. I want to get all the videos out for the mainline games and then rank them as well. From easiest to hardest. I had somebody ask me that if I was going to rank the Final Fantasy mainline game Platinums. And yeah, that's a free video. As far as I'm concerned, there are some videos where the idea is like, yeah, that's not going to really take much effort. That's a free video. That's definitely on the list. Ranking videos are high on the list of like things that if I can make it make sense that I'm doing it, I should 100% do it. Important note, you have to have this Moana mask or Manoa mask on Moana mask. You have to have this Manoa mask on for this next quest. Don't forget to take it off afterwards. There are actually quite a few Realm Reborn quests where they ask you to put on a really weak piece of equipment, and then you, like a quest or two later, have to fight a bunch of enemies. And if you forgot to take it off, it's going to be a problem. It's like as soon as this cutscene is done and I don't need the Manoa mask, I just want to keep calling it Moana mask now. As soon as it's done, take it off. Doesn't help that the other mask I have is like quite literally the exact same one. And let's go to the Lotus stand. I'm waiting for us to get the quest that actually tells us to go to the other city-states. That's going to be the one that kicks off like all the dungeons you can do and like a handful of other new things. That's when the challenge log is going to become available. There's actually some quests that don't become available until a very specific main scenario quest is done. I think it's a level 18 one called like Sylph something. And you like need that quest done for a lot of like things that you need to do in the game. And if you're on one of those new servers that have a ton of boosted EXP available all the time, there's a high probability envoy quests, right? They're called emissary quests in Final Fantasy XI. They're called envoy quests here in Final Fantasy XIV. There's a high probability you may have to genuinely wait. So if you're on an EXP boosted server and you're being told you can't do a quest for some reason because you just like don't have the prerequisites, it usually tells you what that prerequisite is that you're missing. I would expect that it is probably the Sylph whatever. It's Sylph something. When we get to it, I'll remember what it's called. But I feel like it's worth mentioning now because there's a high probability on those servers that's going to happen. Actually, though, a lot of servers are don't really have that bonus. As far as I remember, it's a lot of servers that are either like congested or it's like on Dynamis is like the only data center in NA that you just might run into that. All right, but that is going to be a wrap for this week's episode of Let's Play Final Fantasy XIV. And the next one we'll be getting into our first dungeon, which I will be running with NPCs. I have run it with NPCs just for the sake of doing like I did a video on all of the dungeons with NPCs, but we're going to be probably running through most of them with NPCs here because that's what a new player, we'll do like a mix most likely. But for the first one, I want to introduce the system of using duty support. And then after that, we do the second dungeon with actual players, and you can notice some pretty big differences. But I'll have a bunch of advice on that in the next video. So anyway, I will see all of you then. Be sure to like and subscribe. Be sure to comment below, interact with the video. Always helps a lot. And I will see all of you in the next one. Until then, I bid you adieu. Bye-bye.